The market tries to break out at Friday's open before selling off the entire rest of the day. Should we be looking lower? Find out next on Invest with Jacob. Okay guys, so in Friday's video, we talked about the fact that in the micro count, it can be beneficial to step back, let some information come in and fill out, and look at the bigger picture. And that's exactly what we did. And on Friday morning, the market tried to break out, then sold off the entire rest of the day Friday. And this turns out to have been beneficial to us. I can now see much cleaner potential paths for both the bulls and the bears. Now, I'll get into that in just one second. But first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard. This is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the SP500 and the NASDAQ. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, so with the push higher Friday and then sell off all throughout the day, it does give us a couple of much cleaner paths to track than we had before. So let's jump into the chart and take a look. Okay, guys, so here we are on the 1-hour futures chart of the S&P 500, and right now we're tracking one major bullish count, a major bearish count, and then kind of an alternate count as well. So let's jump in and look at the two major counts first, and then I'll get into that alternate count in a minute. So the first count that we would be looking at is the bearish count, okay? In that scenario, this is wave 3 of C, okay? And this high up here at 44.20 is wave 4 of C. And if you remember, this whole C wave, as we're tracking it, is a diagonal, which means each of the waves is a 3-wave structure. So if this is wave 4 of C, okay, we'd be looking for wave 5 down, and we'd be looking for a 3-wave structure, which means an ABC structure. So off of this high, you have your A wave down, okay, that came down on March 7th, this A wave low at around 41.40. Then you had your B wave up on Friday, okay, that came up to the 43.40 area. And then you'd be starting your C wave down, okay, for wave 5 to complete that in the 40.50 to 40.24 area. So what does this count have going for it? Well, one, okay, we are in a diagonal, and it's a pretty clean 3-wave structure right into our support zone that we've been looking for. We've been looking for that 40.50 area for quite a bit. The 1.0 extension off of here, which means A equals C, okay, which is what we look for in ABC patterns. The 1.0 is 40.50.75, so it puts us right on par with that, okay? So we've got an impulsive structure down off of the high, it looks like, and that is another factor that helps this cause of this count. So this does look like a big wave 1 down. However, the one thing this has going against it is that this move down is quite long, okay? And you would need a nice bounce in wave 2 to kind of offset the length of the overall C wave. So what we would look for here for this is a bounce up towards this 42.85 area in wave 2, and then we would look for wave C to complete on down here at around 40.50 to 40.24. So that count is the bearish count, and that's what we would be looking for there. So for that to happen, we would be looking for a move up, okay, towards that 42.85 area. It could even go a little higher than that. And then we would look for a reversal down hard that took out this low over here on March 7th, down toward our 40.50 area. For the bulls, okay, and their count's going to be in red here. So it does look like a nice leading diagonal was formed off of this low. Okay, so you had a 3-wave structure up for 1 because, again, leading diagonal. So it's going to be 3-wave structures. You got a 3-wave structure down for 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can see the wedge here. It's a very clean looking leading diagonal, to be honest with you. And this would be wave 1 of wave 3, okay? So that means where this 3 is, this Roman numeral 3 down here at the bottom, that would actually be the end of this bigger wave 4. So that wave 4 would move over here to this low, and that would mean the bottom is in. From there, this wave 4 up here would actually be wave 1 up, okay? This A down here would be wave 2 down, and then this leading diagonal was wave 1 of wave 3. Now remember, we're still just building out bigger wave 1. Bigger wave 1 needs 5 waves. So this up here would be 1 of 1, 2 of 1, and then this is 1 of 3 because we're building wave 3. So wave 1 of 3 of bigger wave 1. Okay? Now what this has going for it is it does have the diagonal form. It follows it very well. What you would expect from a diagonal is once it completes, you would expect a very sharp sell-off, and we got that. Okay? And then you would expect it to find support and move up higher. So That's what this one has going for it. It also targets exactly where we want to be for bigger wave 1, which is up in the 47, 40 to 70 region, which is right around the all-time highs, which is where you would expect a wave 1 up to take us. Okay? So remember, we're tracing out the first wave, the bigger wave 1, okay, and that needs 5 waves inside of it. So this would be wave 1 up, 2 down, and then starting wave 3 with a 1 of 3, because that wave breaks down into 5 waves also. I know that can be complex, but I hope you followed along there. So what we'd look for here, okay, is we'd look for a bottom, okay, in wave 2. So you can see the bracketed 1 and 2. These are waves 1 and 2 of 3. So remember, these are the waves inside of wave 3. So what we'd look for is a bottom down here for wave 2. And then what becomes important for wave 3s is the pivot. And you have 2 different pivots for this wave 3 right now. You have this 1, 2 pivot, this small one. So this red 1 and 2 pivot, that'll be the smaller pivot or the micro pivot. Okay. And then you have the bigger pivot, which is from this low up to this wave 1 and down to this big wave 2. And that creates a pivot also. Okay. And that's the minor pivot. So it'll be just a little bit bigger than the micro pivot. Okay. So what we would look for is off of this low, we would look for it to first break the micro pivot. And the micro pivot for the smaller 1, 2 waves right here, this red 1 and 2, okay, comes in at 43.07 to 43.35. So we would look for a move over 43.35 to give us our first confirmation that we could be starting wave 3 of 3 higher. Okay, the second thing we would look for is a move through that minor pivot, which again would be the 618 and 764 of these bigger waves 1 and 2. So remember, if this is bullish, this would be wave 1 up here, bigger wave 1, and bigger wave 2 down here. All right. And then we would get a pivot off of that that comes in at 43.35. So we're right into the next pivot. They overlap a little bit here. We'd want to see a push over 43.81. So if we see a push over 43.35, that means it's in the minor pivot and it's over the micro pivot. And then we would want to see a push over 43.81 from there to really give us a strong confirmation that we're in wave 3 of 3. Okay. And then that pivot becomes support. All right, so that 43.81 area back down to 43.35, once they push through that, that becomes support on the way down. If we break the pivot on the way down, then we have failed that 3 of 3 breakout, and we should look for lower lows after that. Okay, so just to be clear, because I know that can be confusing, you have 2 pivots. You have this short pivot, okay, or this micro pivot, the red 1 and 2 here, and then you have the minor pivot, okay, which would be from here up to this, where this wave 4 is, it would actually be wave 1 in this scenario, and down to this A would be wave 2. That creates the bigger pivot, okay? So that's what we'd be looking for, is first a move over 43.35 and then 43.81 over here at this 764, which is the bigger pivot. So that is the bullish count that we're looking at, that they've completed wave 1 of 3, and they're working on 2 of 3 if they haven't completed it already, and now they're trying to start 3 of 3 higher. So the other count that we're looking at, and it's not my favorite count, but the potential is there, so we do need to keep our eye on it, and that is a triangle playing out here for this smaller wave 4, where we came down in 3, okay, and then this would be your A wave up, B down, C wave up, you'd be working on D down, then you'd get E back up, and then you'd look to complete wave 5 from there, okay? I don't love that scenario personally, but it is possible. The potential is there. You do have the triangle lines playing out, so we will keep an eye on that one. But my 2 main counts are, can the bulls find support and drive it up over this 43.07 and ultimately 43.35 area to get the ball rolling for wave 3 of 3? Or are the bears in control where they get a bounce up to that 42.85 level and then a strong move down into this 40.50 to 40.25 level to finally complete bigger wave 4? So a couple key levels to watch here, guys. The March 7th low over here at 41.40. If we break that, that invalidates the potential for wave 1 of 3. So the bullish potential would be invalidated if we break below this low. If we break above this high, this being wave 1 of C down to complete the correction more directly would be invalidated as well. Okay, so those are the potentials we are watching. We were watching for the bears to be able to complete the C wave of 5 down here into this 40.50 to 40.25 area to complete the bigger wave 4. We're looking for the bulls to find a low in this area and then drive it up over 43.35 and then ultimately 43.81, the 764, the bigger 1-2 here. And then they have the potential for the triangle where they fail to bounce too high, they come down lower, can't break the low, okay? That would create the D leg of the triangle. then you'd look for the E leg of the triangle back up before seeing wave 5 down to complete this bigger correction. Okay, guys, over on the NASDAQ, as you would expect, some similar setups, but the NASDAQ leading diagonal isn't quite as clean as the ES leading diagonal is. So it does make me worry about the bullish potential of the chart right now, which is why I have the main count still as the bearish potential, because the NASDAQ is lacking a little bit in their leading diagonal. But it's not an invalid leading diagonal, so it is still possible that we could see it play out that way. So if they have their wave 4 here, it does barely invade wave 1 territory, which would invalidate or make a diagonal pattern down. So you would have an A down, a B up, and then we would be building that C wave down for the bigger correction in the NASDAQ as well, down towards that 12,500 range. And then their leading diagonal pattern, as I said, not as clean as the ES, but it is still there. And if we look at their first micro pivot, it comes in at 13,734 up to 13,844. So we would like to see them push above 13,844 to tell us that we're starting a potential wave 3 of 3 higher. Okay. And then if that's the case, we would look for them to push through that major pivot where this would be the bottom and you'd have a 1-2 setup. Okay. So you'd get the pivot off that 1-2, which is the 13,949 up to the 14,149 zone. So if the NASDAQ can push up over 14,150, okay, that's a really good indicator that we're starting wave 3 of 3 higher. Again, once we push up over the pivot becomes our support. And a break back below that pivot means that it's very likely the wave 3 movement has failed and we should see the market come down lower. So the pivot bottom was 13,949. So if we do push up above the pivot, 13,949 is kind of our major support zone at that point. Guys, if you like the information that I put out in these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, you need to check out investwithjacob.com. Head on over there and check out our member plans area. Now, here's what's really cool. I give you these videos every day, but they're just a snippet in time, and I film them at night, and by the time I wake up in the morning, the market could have morphed into a whole new pattern. And I'm in my room giving you the updates on the key levels, where support and resistance are, and how we're playing those levels every single night. Each of our plans comes with a 7-day free trial because I want you to get in there, understand it, make sure you love it, make sure it's actually what you want before you ever pay a dime. I'm not looking to take your money. I'm looking to help people become better traders. So come in and check us out. Our first room is my Invest with Jacob room. I give real-time market updates. I give you all of my buy and sell alerts. I answer all of your Elliott Wave questions. Now, I do only trade the SPY and the QQQ. So if you're looking for individual stocks, as well as the indexes, and a binary trading method that absolutely reduces your risk and crushes the market, you need to check out PT's Throne Room. He absolutely crushes it over there. And you get everything you get in my room, okay? So you get my whole room, plus you get his reduced risk trading style using the binary options, as well as individual stocks and the indexes, okay? It's a great value. Again, 7-day free trial. You got nothing to lose. Come check it out. See if you love it. If you don't, no big deal. We'd love to have you over there so we can make some money together. All right, guys, key takeaways for today. We're looking for our main bullish or main bearish pattern to play out. So if it's going to be the bearish pattern, we're looking for a bounce up towards that 42.85 area and then a sharp reversal down to end up completing this correction down here at the 40.50 level or 40.25 level, somewhere in that range. We would look for it to complete. For the bulls, we would look for them to hold a low here and push up through the pivots. Remember, the micro pivot was 43.07 to 43.35, and then the minor pivot, okay, was 43.35 up to 43.81. So if the bulls can make a strong push and take out this high, that's a strong indicator we could be on our way in wave 3 of 3. For the NASDAQ, same thing. We don't have as clean of a leading diagonal as on the NASDAQ, so I don't love it, but it is one of our potentials, and we would look for them to push it higher and break the pivot as well. Their micro pivot comes in at 13,734 to 13,844. So a push above that is a good indicator, and then ultimately we would want them to push above the 13,949 to 14,149 level. For the bears, they have an A, B in place. We would look for a bounce up towards that 14,735 area, and then a push down to complete that bigger wave 4 in that 12,500 area. That is the market update for today. I will talk to you tomorrow.